Her story includes details about an abusive relationship, so if you do not want to hear about that, please don't watch. I just have to add that little disclaimer in there. Anyway, that being said, let's get into it. The first one is called Ex-Boyfriend Used Hidden Cameras, and I just put ... after that because it was a really long title. So, many years back I dated a man-child, relatively the same age as myself. We got along quite well. He presented gentlemanly, hospitable, kind, and loving. In hindsight, things escalated quite quickly. We went from being friends to being exclusive within a month. Not enough time to truly know someone. It sure is not. We saw each other daily. We mostly hung out at his home, and that was fine with me in the beginning, as I'm rather introverted. Couple months into our relationship, I started to question why we weren't leaving the house, why we weren't going out and experiencing new things and trying out new hobbies. His responses were always cloudy. He always tried to redirect the conversation, thinking I was truly stupid and couldn't tell that this was an obvious avoidance tactic. That was the point where I started to become curious, and from there it went downhill. I'm not an intrusive person, but considering he was my partner, I had a right to inquire as to why we were isolating ourselves. After some mild questioning for a few weeks, I noticed he began to create distance. This noticeable change was hard to ignore, and pretty much confirmed my suspicions. However, I'm not going to make a decision based on assumptions. I'm ashamed to admit this, but one night while he was sleeping, I went through his phone. I still feel disgusting, even though I found 100% proof that I was the side chick. I could not believe it. I still can't. I was with this person daily. It obviously confirmed why we were so confined to his home, but it was perplexing because she had no idea about me. It was about 2 a.m. when I looked through his phone. There was no way I could sleep beside him for the remainder of the morning, so I quietly got out of bed, collected my things, and went home. The next day, I believe he realized what had happened. However, he never contacted me to see why I left. Things remained silent for the entire day, and then I received a phone call later that evening. I confronted him. Again, I'm ashamed to say that I did take photos of the evidence, as I knew he would try to gaslight me. The fury in his voice was palpable. He did what a usual abuser would do and blame me for going through his phone while totally ignoring his infidelity. It was utterly pathetic. He had created this delusion that I was going to contact the other girlfriend and tell her all his wrongdoings, all his infidelity, lying, cheating, etc. I would have done this, however, while I was looking through the phone, I realized that this girl was very sheltered. She was completely oblivious of what was going on. I was afraid that he would retaliate against myself and her, and I thought to myself that eventually she would find out. I do regret not informing her, however, my decision was my decision, and I can't change that. This is where my nightmare begins. He was so paranoid and confident that I was going to contact his girlfriend that he would constantly call me daily and make vague threats against me. I persistently advised him that I would not contact her, that it was none of my business, that she would eventually find out that he was a deceitful, inept brainworm sooner or later. Brainworm. All I wanted was for him to fuck off, leave me alone, and never speak with me again. That was my only request. He obviously didn't take my kind words well, and he continued to harass me. Only a few days later, things completely erupted. His paranoia exceeded levels I've never seen before. He sent me a threatening message with the context being, "I have compromising photos of you, and I will release them," as he believed that I would ruin his relationship. I couldn't believe the delusion, no matter what I said, no matter how I phrased message stating that if this was true and if he messaged me again, I'm going to call the cops. 5 minutes later, I receive 11 messages in succession. A few were videos, photos, and personalized animations of myself. I had never seen these images, videos, and animations before. These were taken without my consent. These were extremely intimate and compromising. Unbeknownst to me, he had cameras set up around his room. These weren't just threats, these were screenshots of these images, videos, and animations uploaded on various sharing sites. Oh my god. Luckily, he lacked intelligence. He sent me the evidence. There was nothing I could do to stop the uploads. I immediately went to the police. They did manage to take some down, however, there were no promises, as once a photo was uploaded, it could immediately be archived. This has forever altered my life. I don't see your relationships the same. I can't be intimate. I can't form strong bonds. I've become apathetic. I'm forensically observant. I have difficulty trusting everyone, even my family, and so much more. The effects of an abusive relationship are devastating. Absolutely devastating. And a person doesn't have to touch you at all to be abusive, that's for damn sure. In conclusion, the police were rather efficient and treated me well. I was granted an immediate protection of order, family violence order. He broke that quite quickly and called my phone trying his best to apologize, begging to drop the charges. He's so pathetic that he got his mummy to ring me and tried to persuade me. I immediately called the police and they took immediate action. This ended up going to court. I won. Good. It's not the result that I wanted, however, he did get his name on that good old sex offender registry, which is far more egregious than people may think. Nevertheless, this is beyond life-changing. To all who have gone through this, I'm sorry, and I feel your pain. Cheers for listening to my story. I know it was long, but I hope it was a good read. Be careful around the people you think you trust. I know that's quite nihilistic and pessimistic. These are some of the unfortunate aspects of life. It's quite paradoxical. Humans are social creatures, but many humans are pure rat shit. The next story is called Man Waited for Me After My Friend's Shift. I, a 23-year-old female, was staying with my friend, also 23 and a female, for a couple weeks in the town I grew up in. She works at a restaurant. Without giving away too many details about the location, it's a plaza with a river nearby, a movie theater, restaurants, and boutiques. We entered through the parking garage, which has 3 stories, both elevators and stairs. This is important. She had a 6-hour shift, so I decided to do some shopping, listen to music, and walk around before eating at the restaurant my friend works at. I was sitting at the bar on the corner alone, listening to music. A bigger man approached me. He had a security guard beanie on that was incredibly dirty and tattered up. He was muttering and his eyes were barely open. What I got from his muttering was, "Are you? I like your... Is anyone sitting?" But keep in mind, it was incredibly muttered. I'm just guessing what he was trying to say. All of this was said while he was switching back and forth between looking into my eyes and staring at my chest. I told him multiple times I couldn't understand what he said. After a bit of back and forth, I put the headphones back around my neck and he left me alone. I told my friend about what happened immediately. I tried to shake it off, hoping it was an isolated incident. If this is where the story ended, I wouldn't be writing this, unfortunately. About an hour later or so, I see someone approaching the bar to my left out of the corner of my eye, and I felt their eyes on me. I didn't look, but somehow I knew it was him. My heart started beating fast. I texted my friend and told her I felt really sketched out. I wanted to believe that I was misreading things and was just letting anxiety get the best of me, but I couldn't shake the feeling. 30 minutes or so later, she gets off. As we walk towards the parking garage stairs to get to our our car, I saw him sitting on the bench waiting for me. The benches aren't super close to the elevators, they're closer to the restaurant, if anything. The second I spotted him, my blood ran cold. He saw us walking towards the stairs to the parking garage and started running towards us. Ew. I was face to face with him by the time we got to the top of the stairs. We booked it back to the restaurant and used the employee elevator to get to our car. And an employee escorted us to the car as well. The employee told us there are a lot of cases of homeless people who walk around the restaurants. So I presume he was homeless and just walking in and out of restaurants until he saw me. I'm incredibly thankful I trusted my gut and that I saw him. I don't know what would have happened to us if I didn't see him at first, but I don't want to find out to this stranger. Let's not meet. The next story is called He Wanted My Dog and Me. This happened a few years ago. This is important for later, and I was walking my dog like I always did. We stayed in a small town where nothing ever happened and most people would be in past 7 p.m. I used to walk my dog every evening around 6, so not many people were out and I walked that way every day. I usually went with my mom, but that night I went by myself because my mom was busy. I was walking by the main road and the other side of the path was a shop. My dog decided to do a poo on the ground right outside the shop. Embarrassed, I picked up the poo and saw a silver car pull up and stop outside the shop at first. I thought it was someone stopping to go into the shop. I picked up the poo and stood up straight and was about to continue walking when the man in the car rolled down his window and said hi to me. I could hear that he wasn't English and thought he must be on holiday and needed directions. In the passenger seat was another man holding a notepad and pen, and in the back was a dog cage. I said hi back and he asked where a certain hotel was. I told him where and he thanked me, and when I was about to walk off, he said how much for the dog. I stopped and looked at him confused, and he said again how much for the dog. I told him she wasn't for sale and noticed the man in the passenger seat was writing something in his notebook. Why does he have a notebook? The man laughed and said he loves dogs and asked how much for you then. Oh, hell no. Him asking how much my dog was creeped me out, but this was way too creepy. I said that I'm not for sale and laughed awkwardly, and again the man in the passenger seat wrote something down in his notebook. He laughed back, and I said I had to go and started to walk fast back home. When I turned around the corner, I looked behind me and saw the car was following me. I didn't want to go home because then they would know where I live, so I went down an alleyway where a car could not go down and I lost the car. About a year later, I was in a Zoom meeting and a boy that's from another town not far from mine, a few other people, and a teacher were telling each other about weird things that have happened to us. The boy said he was walking his dog and a silver car pulled up next to him and was asking weird questions about his dog, then asked if he had any sisters for sale. What? I told him what happened to me and we knew it was the same man. He also said there was a man with a notepad in the passenger seat and a cage in the back. What made me want to post this story here is because a few months ago this year, my mom's friend said her friend was walking her dog and a man in a silver car asked to buy her dog and her and follow her, and she went into her brother's house. When he came outside, the car drove off to that man who asked to buy me and others. Let's not meet again. The last story is called Out of the Blue Death Threats. So a few days ago, I was outside of my workplace unlocking the ice thing to get a couple bags for a customer. A man rode up on his bike and stopped a few feet away from me. He said, "What's up?" I had a lot to get done that day, so I didn't even glance at him and said, "Nothing. Working." As I was rustling around in the freezer getting the ice, he was talking, and once I pulled it out, I heard him saying, "Dead bitch." I was hopeful that he was just mumbling to himself or something, gave the bag bags to the customer, and as I turned back toward the store, he continued, "I'm going to tie you up and fucking kill you. Get ready to die, because we're going to shoot the fuck out of you. I'm going to kill you next time I see you." That was all I heard because I went right back inside and called 911. Good. I hear a lot of random threats at work, but this guy got to me. My heart felt like it was going to shoot out of my chest. I could hear it beating. The cops are at our store for shoplifters multiple times a day, and since I didn't see a weapon, they were in no hurry to get back. From speaking to them earlier, I knew they had been dealing with a lot that day. Too many people get all kinds of intoxicated on 420, I suppose. About an hour later, with me keeping an eye on the entrance and cameras the whole time, they showed up to take the report. One of the regular panhandlers who hangs out outside and heard the man popped in to say, "He's across the street." They immediately went and arrested him. After having me confirm his identity with him facing away from me, I said I did want to press charges. Made my statement and was told he would get a court date, and then maybe I will have to appear and can file for an order of protection. Which is nice and all, but I feel like someone who randomly threatens people wouldn't really care about that. True. He knows where I work. Most likely that I'm the one that called about him. And now I'm worried about walking home at night or any time really in a neighborhood I've been in my whole life. Let's not meet again, guy. Like I said, I hope you guys are doing great. Please always listen to your gut, as I say all the time.